in the Democratic Party. Let's go right now to Mike Barnick, who's up in Manchester. Michael, surprises, surprises, but you know politics is, as someone said an hour ago, phenomenal. It is not predictable.
Well, politics is incredible, and the emotion of politics is incredible, and it proves once again that, you know, you have to play the games, you have to have the elections. But I have to tell you, the scope of the conversations between you and Keith, I have found phenomenal. You've gone from Joey Giardello to Lawrence of Arabia to Winston Churchill. It's amazing. You know, Chris, this is right up your alley. I bumped into Lou D'Alessandro, State Senator Lou D'Alessandro here in Manchester, New Hampshire, State Senator from Manchester, in the lobby of the hotel just behind us here. He supported Hillary Clinton. He's a longtime power in state Democratic politics. This was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I asked him what he thought was going to happen. He said, I'm going to tell you one thing. He said, it's not going to be anywhere near what you guys, your polls are showing. It's not going to be 10 points. It's going to be closer to 5. Turns out that he has been closer than any of the polls that all of us have been reading. And again, it gets back to your original point that it's such a marvelous thing when the American people here in New Hampshire come out and vote on Election Day. You really, when they get inside that booth, the pollsters be damned, go away, the pundits, see you later. They're going to vote their heart, and emotion plays a huge part in it. And clearly, you'd have to think that the emotion shown by Mrs. Clinton just this past weekend, just yesterday, might have had somewhat of a significant impact on this race.
So let's stop and take the moment here as we are projecting now that Hillary Clinton has in fact won or will win. Projection here, they will win the New Hampshire primary after every indicator beforehand suggested this could not happen. It will happen on a primary night, Jay.
That's right. This is better than deafening silence, I can tell you that much.
All right, as that's not going to hold off enough. Stand by, Jay. Let's go back to Brian Williams.
Trafficker number 2 is completely immaterial. She's pulled off a stunner here tonight.
Hillary Clinton, who's been through so much in her personal and political life and has always been a fighter and a survivor. We remember, all of us, obviously, when she was First Lady and politically controversial, and then personally humiliated by her husband's behavior. When she ran for Senate from New York, a lot of people said that's presumptuous of her and she can't possibly win, but of course she did very well, as you know, Chris, in upstate conservative New York. And tonight she makes this very powerful comeback, and there will be people going back into her campaign thinking maybe it is possible that she can now win the nomination when all of this has happened in just the last 5 days or so. There's already been a subtle change in the campaign, not just in her demeanor over the last 48 hours, but in her appearance tonight. The sign was change will be coming to America, and we saw no Bill Clinton on stage with her, no Madeleine Albright, no Wesley Clark on stage, a lot more young people. They're changing the complexion of this campaign on the run as well, Chris.
Yeah, that was quite a youthful cheering section about her. Tom, hold on there. Let's bring in Howard Wolfson, who's communications director for Hillary Clinton's campaign. Howard, I listened to you and I found my own voice. Explain that evolution if you can.
Well, you know, on the trail here, as you probably observed, Senator Clinton was taking question after question, really listening to the voters of New Hampshire, answering their questions, and really showing who she was. And you and she had a moment at one point that I saw that I thought was quite nice, and people here really responded. I thought there were a couple of very key moments, certainly in the last 24 hours. We saw one of them, and I also think the debate was a key moment in which Senator Clinton drew some important contrasts on the issues, on the record, with Senator Obama, and people responded, especially over the last 48 hours.
Well, let me ask you, I know it's a tricky position as the communications director, but let me ask you to perhaps showcase some of the moments people have said for the last couple of hours were critical to her comeback. One was her comment on the Saturday night debate, the Charlie Gibson ABC debate, where she responded to a question from Charlie wherein he did put to her the charge almost, the indictment that some people didn't like her, and she said, you're hurting my feelings. And then later on, the same kind of sort of plaintive acknowledgement of hurt when she talked about the pressure on her during the last couple of hours of the campaign. Do you think the appeal of Hillary Clinton is always going to be a mix of the appeal of her strength and a bit of empathy for her as a woman?
Well, I certainly think that the American public is looking for strength in a president, and Hillary Clinton has that. I also think that the American public wants to know who their presidential candidates are. They want to get a sense of what makes them tick. They want to know what motivates them. And I think over the past week here in New Hampshire, voters got to see that from Hillary Clinton, maybe in a way that they hadn't previously. You know, this is a very grueling, intensive process. The candidates, all of them really, to their credit, were working full out from December 26th in Iowa until January 3rd in Iowa, and then they came right to New Hampshire and went 5 days without any sleep. Getting up every day at dawn, working well past dusk to midnight sometimes, and you get to see what somebody is made of under those conditions. And I think people like what they saw when they saw Senator Clinton this past week here in New Hampshire. Well, look, I think much to his credit, Senator Obama came into New Hampshire carrying with him a tremendous amount of energy. And he was really riding a wave out of Iowa. And I think that began to change at the debate when we began to draw some contrasts on the issues on the record. And then I think people who took a look at this race in the last 48 hours decided they liked what they saw from Senator Clinton. She was speaking from the heart. She found her voice. And I think most of the people who were making up their minds over the last 24, 48 hours broke towards us. You know, people in New Hampshire take this process so seriously, and I think people in New Hampshire were willing to give both candidates a second look, and they like what they saw from Senator Clinton, especially here in the last 48 hours.
5 hours ago, Howard, we were told by Dee Myers that Senator Clinton was not at any point really the front runner in this race. I'm not going to ask you to contradict that statement, which would be rendered inoperative by the events of the last 5 hours.
I think something else happened here in New Hampshire. People said, you know, we want to have an opportunity to look at these candidates. We want to size up their records. We want to put them through their paces. We want to have an opportunity to participate, and I think that's what Americans all around the country are saying.
Let me ask you, Howard, about Hillary Clinton that you know and love, the person you worked for and work with. Is there any plan to try to bring her out? She used the phrase tonight, I listened to you and I found my own voice. Well, clearly she felt that she had evolved in finding her voice. Is that something that's going to be becoming a part of the campaign, this perhaps more spontaneous appeal to the people? Is there something here beyond what she said? I mean, I found my own voice is something we all say in talk radio, we say it in writing columns. It takes a while to find out what your voice really sounds like. Has Hillary Clinton, through all her years in public life, been too scripted and only now under tremendous pressure been able to find the way she really feels when she speaks?
You know, it's a very good question, and I appreciate it. You know, adversity really does test people. And, you know, we were down by 15 points here 3 weeks ago. I mean, 3 days ago. Senator Clinton, like all the candidates, was exhausted. And I think from that experience, she was speaking from the heart. She was saying what she felt. She was taking questions from people. She was reacting to the moment. And I think people appreciated it. And I think that's something that Senator Clinton is going to continue to do going forward.
Tonight, she has shocked the political world. It was the fact that Hillary Clinton, and Tom Brokaw brought this up, Hillary Clinton was savaged. She was beaten up. The long knives were out. The New York Post headlines that we all saw that said panic in that face. You had the Boston Globe headline saying she's so yesterday. It was vicious. It was hateful. And the people of New Hampshire, and I think especially women, came to a defense of a lady that they have been with since 1992.
Well, it didn't seem fair. But also Hillary talked about real specific things in the lives of people. I think Barack Obama got a little caught up in the last week or so in the notion that he was making history. Now, history is a great thing.
But you got to make it first.
You got to make, no, he did make it now. But he got into this, let's do it for history. but it's really about people. They don't care so much about history, they care about the real details of life.
All right.
I want especially to thank New Hampshire. Over the last week, I listened to you, and in the process, I found my own voice.